Hopefully that light looks all right. Hello, and welcome. Welcome back to another of the Daily Edge. Sorry, just trying to adjust the light that I had screwed up. Sorry, guys. So welcome back to the Daily Edge. We're going to talk about news, get some motivation, and just kind of learn some stuff for what's going on in the world today. Why don't you tell me a little bit of our world news? Let's see what Gemini has, and we'll roll from there.
I'd be happy to give you a casual rundown of what's making global headlines right now.
Please.
Right on time for 11:45 a.m. World News, the casual take. The biggest things everyone is talking about fall into a few categories. The Climate Summit Showdown, COP30.
Okay.
The big UN climate conference is happening in Belém, Brazil, and it's a huge deal. They're under serious pressure from everyone, from activists to other countries, to finally move past talking and get to doing. The main push is for major, concrete action on cutting emissions and getting wealthier nations to provide the huge amounts of funding needed to help developing countries transition. China's tech power. China is the star of a major tech conference, the Web Summit in Lisbon. The focus is on just how fast Chinese companies are moving ahead in things like AI and robotics. The rest of the world is busy trying to figure out how to work with and also protect their own markets from this rapid technological influence.
Okay.
Geopolitics and military tensions are high in a few spots. Turkey has temporarily grounded all its C-130 military cargo planes as a precaution after one crashed in Georgia, tragically killing everyone on board. Also, you're seeing lots of movement around political reforms and tensions in places like Bangladesh and Turkey. That's a quick snapshot of the big stuff.
Okay.
What do you want to look at next?
Well,
National news, local Fairmont news, or maybe we dive a little deeper into one of these world stories.
Military, China tech power, we obviously know about that. The climate summit. Yeah, let's move into national news. I know we just solved the shutdown yesterday. There's a hemp thing that's in there that was kind of big. Let's talk about a few of them things nationally.
That's a great choice, and you are right on the money. The shutdown and the hemp situation were the two biggest national stories this week. Here is a casual dive into those and a few other key national happenings. National news, a casual chat. 1. The longest shutdown ends, for now. The vibe. Everyone is relieved. But the end was messy. President Trump signed the funding bill late Wednesday, officially stopping the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, 43 days. The drama. The deal that reopened the government was brokered by a small group of moderate Democrats and Republicans. This move completely infuriated many top House Democrats because the bill did not include the extension of tax credits for the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, health plans they had been fighting for. They were basically outmaneuvered, even though they were promised a future vote on the issue. The next cliff. The bill only funds the government through January 30th, so this whole fight will likely start all over again soon. 2. The hemp loophole closes. What happened? This was a huge story that was quietly tucked into the new Farm Bill, which also passed this week. Congress has effectively tightened the restrictions on THC in hemp products nationwide. The impact. The new rules target intoxicating hemp-derived products, like Delta-8 gummies and seltzers, that became widely available in gas stations and convenience stores after the 2018 Farm Bill. The new limit on the amount of total THC allowed in a finished product is extremely low. The industry is panicking. Hemp industry groups say this change could wipe out 95% of their product market.
Yeah.
Everything from certain CBD products to THC-infused beverages.
There'll be a loophole.
And cost the $28 billion industry hundreds of thousands of jobs. The new rules are set to go into effect in November of next year, so the industry is already lobbying hard for changes. 3. Other national headlines. Food aid uncertainty. The Supreme Court is allowing the administration to continue withholding about $4 billion in funding for the SNAP food stamp program, at least until midnight tonight, Thursday, adding huge uncertainty for millions of families. Military buildup. The USS Gerald R. Ford, the Navy's newest and largest aircraft carrier, has entered Latin American waters.
Okay.
signaling a heightened military presence in response to ongoing tensions with Venezuela. Did the details about the hemp law or the shutdown deal spark any thoughts, or should we jump into the local Fairmont news next?
Well, I mean, I kind of know what's going on with the hemp laws. If you guys got any questions or want me to dive deeper into any news story, just let me know and I will dive deep into it. And even if I got to do some extra research and bring it up tomorrow, surely will. Food eating. So yeah, I don't know the impact of new rule targets in Delta 8. So come the 30th of January, will we be shut down again? Probably.
That's a very realistic question to ask, and the short answer is it's definitely possible, but Congress has a bit of a roadmap this time. Here's the casual breakdown of the situation for January 30th. Why it could happen again. It's a continuing resolution, CR.
Okay.
The bill that just reopened the government is a temporary measure, a CR. It only extends funding for most agencies until January 30th, 2026.
Okay.
This just kicks the can down the road, and the underlying disagreements haven't been solved. The ACA subsidy fight. The biggest sticking point that caused this last shutdown, besides the usual spending arguments, was the expiration of Enhanced Affordable Care Act ACA tax credits. Democrats failed to get the extension of these credits into the final bill, but they were promised a future vote on it. If that vote fails, or if they don't get other policy wins they want, they could block a new spending bill and trigger another shutdown.
Right.
A divided Congress. The slim majorities and intense political polarization mean that finding agreement on the remaining 9 full-year spending bills by the deadline will be incredibly difficult. The good news, or at least the less bad news, some agencies are safe. Some parts of the government, like the USDA, food programs, Veterans Affairs, and military construction, actually received full-year funding through September 2026 in the recent deal.
Good.
So a future shutdown won't affect those areas. New motivation. Nobody in Congress wants to go through another record-breaking, politically disastrous shutdown, especially not one that cuts off key benefits like SNAP. That pressure might force a deal before the deadline. So while the threat is
There's
real
going to be
because
no
the deadline
deal
is
if it's
fixed and
already
the disagreements
fixed.
are still there, the political appetite for another closure is very low. Would you like to move on to the local Fairmont news now?
Yeah.
Or should we briefly look at the weather again?
Shut down for a minute, I bet. Let's look into the aurora borealises that we've been having and the mass ejections from the sun.
That is the most exciting thing happening right now.
Okay.
It's giving us a fun, positive distraction and a spectacular light show. Here is the casual scoop on the current solar storm and the aurora borealis. Aurora borealis and solar storm update. The how and why. The cause. The whole event started because the sun fired off multiple huge blasts of plasma and magnetic field, called coronal mass ejections, CMEs. This is happening because the sun is currently near the peak of its 11-year activity cycle, so these events are more common and more powerful. The impact. These CMEs have slammed into Earth's magnetic field over the past couple of days, triggering a severe G4, severe geomagnetic storm. There was even a possibility of it hitting the highest level, G5, extreme. The lights. When those solar particles hit Earth's atmosphere, they excite the gases, which releases energy in the form of light. That's the aurora. Because the storm was so strong, the northern lights were visible much further south than normal, seen in states like Wisconsin, New York, and even as far south as Texas and Oklahoma earlier this week. What's happening now? Thursday, 11:55 a.m. Central Standard Time. The storm is calming. The most intense part of the solar storm has passed. However, the effects are still lingering. NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center says G3, strong, storm conditions are still possible throughout today. Aurora visibility tonight. Even though the peak was earlier in the week, there is still a good chance for some auroral activity tonight.
Okay.
Thursday night, November 13 to 14, especially if you get away from city lights. The best viewing time is usually between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. local time. It's definitely worth checking the sky tonight if you have a clear view. Did you manage to catch a glimpse of the northern lights earlier this week? Or should we move on to the local Fairmont news?
I know this has kind of been redundant from me, but what about the physical effects the mass ejections have on human and wildlife? Probably going to tell me nothing because our atmosphere saves us from all of that.
That is a really interesting and important question. It's one of the biggest points of debate when these massive storms happen. Here's the casual, science-backed take on the physical effects of CMEs on life here on Earth. CME effects on life, humans and wildlife. 1. The good news Earth's shield works. Direct radiation. For humans and animals on the ground,
if it didn't work,
our atmosphere and magnetic field, the magnetosphere, are incredibly effective shields. The high-energy radiation from solar flares and the charged particles from the coronal mass ejections, CMEs, do not reach us in harmful amounts. You are safe from radiation exposure simply by being here on the surface. The exception. The only humans who need to worry about direct radiation are astronauts in space or passengers/crew on high-altitude flights near the poles, where the magnetic field offers less protection. They may be advised to descend or change course during a severe storm. 2. The indirect effects on human health. While the direct radiation doesn't hit us, the severe disturbance in the Earth's magnetic field, geomagnetic storm, might have subtle indirect effects, although the science is still developing and sometimes contradictory. Cardiovascular system. Numerous studies suggest a correlation between sharp changes in geomagnetic activity and an increased risk of heart problems.
Yes, ma'am.
Including myocardial
Yes,
infarction,
sir.
heart attacks,
yes, AI.
and changes in heart rate variability, HRV, especially in older or already susceptible individuals. Neurological. Some research links geomagnetic storms to slight changes in blood pressure and disruption of the body's circadian rhythm, sleep/wake cycle, possibly by interfering with the magnetic signals that organisms use to regulate these functions. The key word here is correlation, not direct cause. 3. The effects on wildlife. The animal kingdom is a different story, as many species rely on the Earth's magnetic field for navigation. Navigation disruption. Animals like migratory birds, sea turtles, honeybees, and whales use the geomagnetic field as a kind of internal compass. Disorientation. Severe and sudden magnetic fluctuations from CMEs can temporarily disorient these animals. For example, some studies suggest that severe storms can lead to higher numbers of smashes in pigeon races, where the birds become lost and don't return home. In short, for you and me, the physical risk is virtually zero. The real risk is the technological disruption, power outages, satellite issues, that can indirectly impact daily life and safety. Does this clear up the difference between the physical effects on the ground versus the effects on our technology?
No. Obviously, it affects technology that's satellites and whatever. Radiation is going to affect shit, obviously. But I don't even think we've hit the tip of the iceberg of what this kind of stuff does to animals, human body, things like that. Whether we, a young, healthy person may not even feel it, or maybe it, maybe it makes us sick in some way and we just think it's something else. I think a lot of people have maybe not, a lot of people that's been sick lately. And I'm not talking like radiation sickness or whatnot, just consistently being under the weather or consistently feeling like shit, especially the last couple of years with the mass ejections and coinciding with when they're hitting the Earth. But I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just keep my eyes and ears open on everything. And I think you guys should too. But with that being said, let's jump into the anything new going on in Fairmont. I know the city council had their meetings. I think they're going to have another one about the person who is under investigation. What else do we have going on? Anything new? It's a lot to tell Gemini, by the way.
That's a great local pivot. You are absolutely right that there's been a lot of city council and housing talk lately. Here is the casual rundown of the latest news right here in Fairmont, MN. Local Fairmont news. 1. The council member investigation. What's happening? You are correct that the city council is still dealing with the formal allegations against one of its members. They held a special meeting recently, November 10th, for the preliminary consideration of allegations against an individual subject to city council's authority. The next step. The next important date on the calendar regarding the City Council is a public hearing on Monday, November 24th at 5:30 p.m. This meeting is actually about the city's stormwater pollution prevention plan, but it shows the council is keeping a busy schedule of required hearings. Expect more updates on the allegations to come as they proceed through their formal process. 2. The big housing decision, Whitetail Ridge. The problem, the Housing and Redevelopment Authority, HRA, is stepping in because several homes in the Whitetail Ridge subdivision haven't sold quickly. The high price point and low demand for the specific type of living they offer have left them sitting vacant. The new plan, the HRA, is considering a purchase agreement to buy these houses themselves. Their idea is to take the homes and turn them into rental properties. The logic. This fits with the HRA's history of managing rentals, and it would immediately put those empty homes to use, addressing the local need for rental housing. They are currently figuring out the financing and if they can cash flow it before making the big move. 3. Community center effort ends. The scoop. After a decade-long push, the Fairmont Area Community Center Foundation, FACC, has officially announced it will discontinue efforts to build a YMCA-operated community center here. This is a big shift, and it leaves the question of a new community space up in the air. 4. High School Spotlight. The Fairmont High School Theater Department is currently presenting its fall musical, the popular Mamma Mia. Did the news about the HRA purchasing homes for rentals or the community center effort ending catch your attention?
What is that? Whitetail Ridge. Tell me more about the Whitetail Ridge stuff. Yes.
That is a fascinating local story with big implications for Fairmont's housing needs. Here is the casual, detailed breakdown of the Whitetail Ridge situation. Whitetail Ridge, buying to rent. 1. The core problem, the Whitetail Ridge subdivision with options, specifically twin homes. The land was acquired by the city from the district, and infrastructure, streets, utilities, was installed. The homes were built by the Southwest Minnesota Housing Partnership, SWMHP, but several have been sitting unsold since spring, March, April. Despite early interest, they haven't sold as expected. The buyer snag real estate agents noted that the high price point, combined with a lower local demand for that specific one-level living style, meant the homes weren't moving. They tried reducing the price once. 2. The HRA's solution. The Fairmont Housing and Redevelopment Authority, HRA, is stepping in to solve the problem by entering a purchase agreement with the SWMHP to buy the unsold homes. The goal, the HRA's goal, is to convert the unsold homes into rentals. Why the HRA? They are seen as having a more invested interest in the community than a private developer. Crucially, the HRA has experience managing rental properties and can potentially secure better bonding rates, lower borrowing costs, as a government agency. 3. The next hurdle, the HRA board is currently in the detailed planning phase. They need to figure out financing. They need to determine the exact cost of acquiring the homes, and if they can cash flow it, meaning, can the rent they collect be enough to cover the mortgage/bond payments, maintenance, and operating costs? The rent price. Commissioners cover the costs of these newer, higher quality homes. The rent would likely be higher than existing local rentals, potentially more than $2,000 per month.
Jesus Christ.
This is a major factor in whether the plan is viable for the local rental market.
No.
The move would immediately address the local need for rental housing by putting empty homes to use, but the financial viability for both the HRA and future tenants is the next big question.
No
Did
way.
this clarify the HRA's motivations, or would you like to hear about the community center effort ending next?
What are the rental costs now average in Fairmont?
That is the perfect follow-up question.
Yeah.
It puts the
So
HRA's proposed.
that is just stupid. Because if you can afford $2,000 a fucking month, buy a house. Why would you rent? You might, I don't know. Yeah. Ridiculous. So yeah, right now, 3-bedroom to rent is about $1,000. But let's say, yeah, doubling that almost. I would think that you have a good enough job and you should have your shit in the kit to be able to buy a house. And if you don't, you should get a shitty, cheap little apartment for fucking however many years it takes you to save up money to put on a down payment, not paying $2,000 rent. Yeah, you don't have to worry about, your hot water heater going out or your central air, but some dickhead landlords, central air is not a necessity. Then you got to wait on somebody else to make sure the shit gets fixed. I don't know. That would be a tough hell no to me. All right, let's look into the forecast. What's it looking like out there? It's supposed to be really nice this weekend. Let's see. I'm not gonna let you talk about
You're in
this
luck.
one. Yeah, we're in luck. Today, 59. Tomorrow, 66. Saturday, 53. Then we're dropping back down. Sunday, 49. Monday, 43. Yeah, it looks like we're going to finally get our winter coming up here. So enjoy these nice, warm, beautiful days. I think we'll hit our winter, and I'm kind of hoping it's a short. I kind of hope it's a short winter. Hoping February, at least the end of it, starts fucking warming up again. Just hoping. Don't obviously have that forecast. What else do we got going on, guys? Why don't you do a little recappy and leave us with some motivation?
That's a wonderful idea. Let's wrap up this chat with a quick recap of the big stories we covered, leaving you with a sense of perspective and some motivation. Casual recap and takeaway: what the world is talking about. Perspective: the cosmos, the sun, is throwing a massive history-making solar storm our way, giving us the chance to see the aurora borealis while reminding us that we live on a planet with a powerful magnetic shield that keeps us safe. The takeaway: the universe is vast and wild, but Earth has our back. The nation. The long government shutdown finally ended, but the national conversation has quickly shifted to the political fight over the future of the hemp industry and the serious financial struggles highlighted by the rise in vehicle repossessions. The takeaway: change is constant, and there is always a new challenge on the horizon and a new fight to be had. Fairmont Local, the HRA, is looking at a creative but expensive way to solve a housing gap by buying unsold Whitetail Ridge homes and turning them into high-end rentals. Plus, we've got a beautiful 66 to the power of Circ F Day coming tomorrow. The takeaway: solutions often require thinking outside the box, and you should always take time to appreciate the good weather when it arrives. Motivational sign-off: you asked for a positive thought in a difficult world, and you asked for a saying about overcoming struggle. Remember the strength we discussed earlier. Life is the climb, not the view. You overcome it by planting your feet for the step, not staring at the peak. Your motivation: you've got a beautiful day coming tomorrow. You are equipped to handle the big news and the small steps. The world is complex, but your personal power lies in your focus and your feet. The best way to not feel hopeless is to get up and do something.
There you go.
Don't wait for good things
Get
to
up and
happen
do
to
something.
you.
Oh, that's Barack.
If you go out and make some good things happen, you will fill the world with hope. You will fill yourself with hope. Barack Obama. I hope this summary and motivation helps you step into the rest of your day. What would you like to discuss next?
Oh, nothing. It's cute. All right. Well, I guess AI found a little Barack Obama inspired. The best way to not feel hopeless is to get up and do something. Don't don't wait for good things to happen to you. If you go out and make some good things happen, you will fill the world with hope. You will fill yourself with hope. Good little true. Doesn't get any simpler than that, guys. Uh, just do stuff. Get out there. Move. You know, try to be a positive way, even with all the negativity that's going on. Thanks for joining me, guys. That's another the Daily Edge. Just a little bit of news and a little bit of motivation. Have a good day. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the week recap. Adios.